I sent a letter to my husband asking for living expenses, but the carrier pigeon delivered it to the wrong people. A bunch of actors. Mother, I'll send it over after court ends. Mother, I'll bring it once I'm done drilling the troops. Mother, here's 10,000 silver taels to tide you over. Is this what they mean by raise kids and they'll take care of you in old age? 10 years earlier, wailing echoed from inside the house. I rushed in and found 3 little boys running wild around the bed, while the only girl was covering her face, bawling her eyes out. I reached over and checked Xin Young's pants. Yep, soaked. This godforsaken ancient world doesn't even have diapers. Making a young maiden like me look after 4 kids. Give me a break. I'm a transmigrator. Came from a post-apocalyptic world where I could barely eat or stay warm, and landed in this scenic ancient era. Should have been a win. Problem is, the original owner was a refugee. To get registered, she married Liu Ji, the village deadbeat of Liu Jia village. She thought she'd finally have some stability. Turns out, aside from a pretty face, Liu Ji was completely useless. Wouldn't farm, wouldn't work, but if there was gossip or a party anywhere, he was first in line. If he'd been born rich, he could have lived the playboy life just fine. But born into a commoner's family? He had a great time while everyone around him suffered. When his first wife, Lady Mo, was still alive, she kept him in check. They were poor, sure, but they had 50 acres of farmland. Work it year-round and the family wouldn't starve. But after Lady Mo died from hemorrhaging during the birth of the twins, there was nobody left to rein him in. Liu Ji thought farming was too hard, refused to work, and sold off land every time he ran low. Before long, every good plot was gone. Luckily, his 3 brothers caught on early. Under family pressure, they managed to save 2 acres, except both were way out in the middle of nowhere, deep in some ravine. The household was dirt poor. The 4 kids ate 1 meal here, skipped the next. It's a miracle they survived at all. 3 days ago, the magistrate played matchmaker. Liu Ji brought the original owner home, dumped 4 skin and bones kids in front of her, and waltzed off to go party. The original owner was already at her limit from fleeing as a refugee. No food, no supplies in the house, late autumn closing in, winter on the way. She picked up a hoe and went to plant winter wheat so the family could eat next year. She collapsed on the bed and never woke up. That's when I took over her body. I followed the riverbank upstream and soon found myself in the mountains. After years of surviving the apocalypse, scavenging food was pure instinct. In autumn, wild animals are at their fattest, bulking up for winter. Best part, no mutant creatures jumping out at me, no zombies charging from the bushes. But I overestimated this body. 10 minutes into the mountain and I was already about to collapse. Heart racing, I found a big tree and leaned against it to catch my breath. After resting, I walked a bit farther and stumbled onto a huge patch of taro. The villagers didn't know how to handle it. The raw sap makes your skin itch like crazy, so they avoided it. Their loss, my gain. I grabbed my hoe and dug up a good 20+ pounds. No time to dig up the rest. I gathered firewood on the spot, dug a pit, and roasted some taro right there. After surviving the apocalypse, starting a fire by friction was second nature, had a flame going in no time. The taro sat by the fire, and soon that unmistakable smell of cooked food drifted through the air. I roasted 12, ate 8, and forced myself to stop at 4. After starving for so long, eating too much too fast would wreck my stomach. I buried the fire with dirt. Then I picked the hoe back up and kept digging. Cleared out the entire taro patch, ended up with a small mountain of them, maybe 50 or 60 pounds. The bugs and mosquitoes up here were brutal, so I didn't stick around and headed back down. On the way back to the village, I passed some farmers working in the fields. They saw me hauling taro and their eyes filled with pity. Poor thing, that new stepmother, a perfectly fine girl, married off to that good-for-nothing Liu III, so hungry she's eating poison. What a shame. I didn't have time for gossip. I just wanted to get home and check on the 4 kids. But before I even reached the rundown shack, I could hear shouting and cursing in the distance. I looked up and spotted that deadbeat who'd been MIA for days, getting chased by a group of village men swinging hoes and sticks. 8-year-old Da Lang and 6-year-old Er Lang ran in front of their father to shield him, understandable for kids. But what their father did next was baffling. Instead of pulling his sons back or worrying about them getting hurt, he expertly ducked behind them like he'd done it 100 times. Da Lang and Er Lang were shoved to the front, but it was like throwing eggs at a rock. The 2 scrawny boys got swatted aside and hit the ground hard, convulsing in pain. Meanwhile, the men from the neighboring village were still chasing Liu Ji, who was leaping around like a monkey. Liu III, pay back what you owe, or we'll beat the dead out of your sorry hide. Liu Ji had nowhere left to hide, too exhausted to run. Just as despair filled his eyes, a hand shot out in front of him. All of you, stop! I roared. I caught the blade mid-swing by the handle. Lin Bao froze. Where'd this village woman come from catching his cleaver barehanded? He pushed down harder. It didn't budge an inch. With a flick of my wrist, I sent him and his blade flying. Who the hell are you? We're here to collect from Liu III. This ain't your business. Liu Ji finally recognized me. His eyes lit up and he immediately hid behind my back, whimpering, Wife, save me. The words barely left his mouth before a crisp slap cracked across his face. Not just Liu Ji, even the debt collectors were stunned. I gave Liu Ji a cold once-over. Decent face, I'll give him that. No wonder the original owner followed him home without asking a single question. Then I looked down, Da Lang and Er Lang lying on the ground with nobody helping them up, the twin toddlers crying with snot bubbles popping on their faces. and rage surged through me. Honestly? Maybe it'd be better if the debt collectors just beat this guy to death. I grabbed Liu Ji from behind me, yanked him forward and booted him toward the men. He's the one who owes you. Take it up with him. Lin Erbao didn't know what I was playing at, but he waved his boys over and they pinned the stunned Liu Ji down. I scanned the area, spotted a coil of straw rope under the eaves, grabbed it, and tossed it to Lin Erbao. Tie his hands and feet so he can't move. Can't have your debtor running off on you. Wife, what are you doing? We just got married. The magistrate himself officiated. We're husband and wife. Liu Ji was panicking, but I didn't even glance at him. Instead, I coached Lin Erbao's guys on how to tie the rope tighter, wrapping Liu Ji up like a dumpling. When he started cussing, I stuffed a rag in his mouth. Then I looked up at Lin Erbao. Take him. Don't do anything reckless and don't cripple him. You've seen how things are here. I can't afford to feed him, so just go ahead and beat him to death for me. You're really gonna hand Liu III over his payment? Yep. Liu Ji thrashed wildly, eyes bulging. I walked over to Dalang and Erlang, pulled the two brothers off the ground, and checked their injuries while speaking to Lin Erbao and his men. This is my home. Might just be a widow and some orphans, but we're not pushovers. I've handed Liu Ji over to you. If you come back here and hurt my family again, I'll drag you to hell with me. Lin Erbao frowned deeply. This woman was not to be messed with. He wanted no part of this fight. Thankfully, Dalang and Erlang were just weakened from hunger. A few scrapes on their arms, nothing serious. I let out a breath of relief. I pulled the snot-faced twins close. I'd only been in this family 3 days, but right then, all 4 kids realized they finally had someone to lean on. Xin Young reached for my hand. Xin Young is scared. Don't be, Mama's here. I surprised myself. I'd slipped into the stepmom role way faster than expected. Xin Young sniffled and nodded hard. Lin Erbao gave the signal. His boys hoisted the trussed-up Liu Ji onto their shoulders and left. You were just trying to scare Dad, right? You wouldn't actually let them kill him, right? No, I meant every word. The 4 siblings exchanged looks, then the 2 brothers immediately took off after them. But they were too weak. Their legs gave out after a few steps. They stopped under the old tree at the village entrance, then eventually slunk back home. Watching me bustle around, they stammered but couldn't get a word out. Next to show up was Old Man Liu, huffing and puffing from rushing back from the fields. He didn't see Liu Ji, just the 4 kids standing in the yard. Where's your father? Dalang didn't know where to start. Was he supposed to say the stepmom handed Dad over to debt collectors to be killed? When none of the kids spoke, Old Man Liu turned to me with a stern face. Where's that no-good son of mine? Paying off his debts. That boy'd spend his last penny on candy and peanuts. He's got nothing to pay with. I looked up. No money? Then he pays with his life. If you want him back, put up the money yourself. A life like his ain't worth much anyway. All right, let me go talk it over with his older brothers. Just don't try to handle this alone. I was honestly surprised. I expected Old Man Liu to chew me out. Didn't expect him to say something like that. I nodded. Before leaving, he told the kids to look after their stepmom. I watched him disappear down the road, then turned to the 4 little ones standing at the door. They all nodded obediently. I pulled 4 still warm roasted taros from my pocket and handed them over. 1 each. Eat something to hold you over. It smells so good. San Lang took 1 bite and his eyes lit up like fireworks. It's taros, of course it smells good. All 4 kids froze mid-chew. Erlang's face went pale. He'd heard villagers say taro was poisonous, that it'd make you itch all over, scratch till your skin rotted off, maybe even kill you. Seeing them freeze up, I chuckled, popped the rest of mine into my mouth, then walked over and grabbed 2 more taros. Raw taro sap makes your skin itch, but just rinse it with water and you're fine. Cooked taro? No problem at all. Eat up. I pulled out the batch I'd already roasted and piled them by the fire, then buried the raw ones in the ash to keep cooking. I jerked my chin at Dalang. Go fetch me some water. When you get back, we're cleaning this place up. Dalang wolfed down his taro in a few bites and grabbed a heavy wooden bucket from a dark corner. I followed Dalang toward the village well. The moment Erlang saw me leave, he rushed to the fire and divvied up the roasted taro pile among his siblings. San Lang and Xin Yang stuffed their cheeks full, chewing away like little hamsters. Before long, every last piece was gone. At the well, Dalang expertly tied the rope to the bucket handle, tossed it in, rocked it side to side until it flipped and filled up. The full bucket was heavy. The boys struggled. I stepped in, grabbed the rope, and hauled it up with 1 pull. I poured the water into the clay jars we brought, filling 2 of them, rinsed the bucket with the last bit of water, and dropped it back in the well. Copying Dalang's technique, I rocked it and pulled up another full load. 1 hand on the bucket, 1 arm around a jar, with Dalang hugging the other jar to his chest. Maybe it was the first time they'd ever carried this much water back in one trip. Even the usually serious Dalang cracked a tiny, childlike smile. We weren't even home yet when I spotted a little figure standing on the hillside. Xin Yang was waving excitedly. The second she saw me, those little legs started churning downhill. I called out to remind her to slow down. She ran up to me and insisted on helping carry the bucket. Mama, are you tired? Mama, mama? I sighed, so she was a little chatterbox. I answered as patiently as I could, telling her over and over that no, I wasn't tired. By the time we got back, Erlang and San Lang had already scrubbed the empty water tank clean. The three brothers were too small to carry the tank. They could only manage the bucket, so the tank hadn't been used in ages. 1 bucket plus 2 jars only filled it a third of the way. 2 more trips to go. I started delegating. The house is filthy. Erlang, Sanlang, grab the brooms and sweep out both rooms. Delang and I will keep fetching water. Oh, and boil a pot of hot water. Everyone's getting a bath tonight. Mama, what about the fields? Everyone else is almost done planting wheat. We haven't even started. In Dalang's mind, nothing mattered more than farming. The weather was perfect right now. Miss the window and the wheat won't grow right. I knew farming was urgent, but the reality was we didn't even have seed. The fields can wait. Let's get the house livable first. We need somewhere clean to sleep tonight.